welcome to another episode of Jim's Summer Garden. Okay, so we're at that time of year where it's time to put the calabrese in. Now, last year we were lucky enough to get 2 lots in, so what I'm going to try and do, if at all possible, is I'm going to try to fill the suit. Now, the seeds that I'm using for this one, I've actually got 2 varieties. This is Bellstar F1 Hybrid, and this is from Thompson & Morgan seeds. Not overly expensive, but it says you can sow these from April to June. So I'm most certainly at the right time now. If you look outside, you can start to see the weeds are growing, and that's a reasonably good sign that it's time to get sowing as much as you can. So the next couple of weeks I'm going to be sowing quite a few bits and bobs. Obviously I've got the kale going already, but now's most certainly the time to be sowing your brassicas if you haven't already. Now in here, I don't know how many seeds I've got. Let's have a look, see what it says. No, there's no indication of how many seeds there are. Oh, 50 seeds. So what I want to do is, I don't want to, I think probably what I'll do actually, to be honest with you, is just sow all of these. I was going to save some back for later, but I think I'll just sow them all. So now, with brassicas, what you can do, you don't need to be overly fussy, but what you don't want to do is get them too close together, because when you're pulling them apart, obviously you're disturbing the roots. So if you can spread them out as best you can, then when you come to prick them out and to put them in pots to grow them on later, you're basically going to be taking as much compost with the seed or the little plant as you possibly can do, and that'll mean there's the least amount of disturbance to the root. So what I always try to do, you haven't got to be overly particular, but what I always try to do is spread them out as best I can. Now, I'm putting these something like 1.5 inches or so apart. The reason I'm doing that is there's 50 seeds, and that's basically 5 in a row, 10 rows. Now, if they say 50 in a pack, there's likely to be more, so I'm putting actually 6. There's 6 seeds in a row. Is it 6 or 5? Depends which row you look at, really. But I'm just putting these so about 1.5 inches or so apart. So that when I come, as I say, when I come to prick them out, I'm not going to be, I'll be able to get a nice big root ball on each one. I won't need to pull them apart and potentially damage the root. And I find that's how you get the strongest seedlings. So it's worth you taking a little bit of time to get them in. Now, as I say, you don't need to be overly particular. I've got a few seeds left, so I was just going to sprinkle them on. Now, with all brassicas, they're all the same. They're all these little, all brassicas look like these small, little sort of black balls, if you like, and it doesn't matter which brassica you grow, really, they're all pretty much the same. And all you need to do is bob them in, and then put a very, very fine sprinkle of compost on the top. You only just need to basically cover the seed. And what I tend to do is just put it between my hands like that, and just sort of rattle it out. So you don't need too much. All you're basically doing is, so when you water them, they're not, it's holding this in place. Now, the one things that brassicas do like is firm soil. They don't like to be in loose soil. They do like to be well firmed in as such. Most certainly when the plants, but when the seeds, they also like the ground to be reasonably firm. Now, I just need to put a little bit over here. So, what I suggest you do, as I've shown you with the other plants, is get yourself a little block of wood. And then just put that in. Now, the reason for doing this is you could potentially do it with your hand and sort of pad it in, but if you do it with a block of wood, you're going to get even pressure on the compost. So just do that, and then just that back corner there. So that's nicely pressed in, even pressure along the top there. So all I need to do now is, again, obviously tap water in a bottle with my little thing on the end. You don't need to, obviously the seeds are right at the surface of the soil, so you don't need to put too much water. You know, all you need to do is dampen the surface. Again, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've not put too much compost in there. These plants are only going to be in here till they get to about sort of 2 or 3 inches high. So they're going to be, these are they're going to look very similar to these. And so as soon as they get to about another sort of inch or so higher than that, I'll be taking them out. So what I'll end up with in a couple of weeks from that is something like that, and then as soon as they're a couple of inches high, 2 or 3 inches high, I'll be pulling them out by the leaves, planting them up into square pots, and then putting them in the greenhouse till they're around sort of 9 inches high, and then I'll be planting them out at the end of May. As soon as the frosts have gone, I mean these plants are reasonably hardy anyway, but I'll be waiting till the sort of the back end of May, and then these will be planted out in the big tunnel, up one side, and then the other side I'm going to be having the kale and stuff like that. So that's the calabrese, or the or green broccoli. Okay, so I'm going to grow a bit of lettuce. I'm going to be growing a few different types this year, but this is iceberg lettuce, which is always a good one to grow. Now, the one thing with lettuce, the one bit of advice I can give you is don't sow too much of it. Lettuce grows quite well, and you do get loads and loads of seeds in each year, but basically, unless you're a rabbit, you're not going to eat lettuce anywhere near as quick as it'll grow. Quick point though, never feed a rabbit to lettuce. Anyway, inside here there's a whole, I think there's thousands of seeds. Where is it? 1,500 seeds. So if you buy a packet of seeds, you'll never go short again. But basically what you need to be doing is sowing these around 1.5 centimetres under the ground, which is that's what it says on the packet anyway. I normally plant them a lot finer than that, but anyway, I don't know if you see, but it looks pretty much like grass seed. So, well, not quite like grass seed, but that's what lettuce seed looks like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sowing about 2 or 3 seeds in each of these. Now all I've done is I'm going to be growing, obviously there's going to be 9 plants here, and then in a couple of weeks time what I'll do is I'll plant some more to make like a succession of growing. So I've just got 2 or 3 seeds, possibly more in some of them, and I'm going to put the rest of the seeds back because I don't need those. Right, so I'll put them back in the packet for later, and then all I need to do now is, it actually says on the packet to put 1.5 centimetres of fine soil over the top. I don't normally put that much. I normally just put a very fine sprinkling over. Now what I'll do is, as soon as these come through, what you do is basically you prick out all of them except the strongest one. So basically you sort of pull out them all apart from the strongest one. So you've just got one plant in each of these cells, and then plant the cells out into the garden. As soon as they get to a nice kind of size, you can obviously eat them and put them in your sandwiches or make salads or whatever. And then in a couple of weeks time, obviously I'll be sowing some more, and then basically as you eat them you just replace them with the next batch, if you like. So don't forget to label them, because you'll most certainly at some point forget what they are. Obviously you don't need massive amounts of water. You don't really need to put any glass on these either, to be honest with you. These will germinate at in a normal greenhouse at this time of year. So just give them a good soak. That's more than enough, and I'll put those on the side in the greenhouse and I'll let you know what they look like when they first come up. Okay, so I thought I'd do a quick tour whilst it's quiet and it's not raining. As you can see, we've had reasonably good weather. We've had 40 degrees. It has gone down to -1 degree in the week, so we are still getting a little bit of frost. Fahrenheit, that's 105, and the lowest it got down to was 30. So that's over the last sort of 3 days or so. As you can see, the grapevine's doing really well. I need to actually start to think about trimming some of these down, but that's growing really well. As you can see, it's growing all the way along, almost towards the end. There's actually a little one coming out the end there, so that's done really well. And that's the second one is just there, so that's quite a strong runner running off the first one. So what I'll do is I'll leave that one on, and I'll leave that one to run along there. So I'll be tying that one in, but these others I'll be trimming them down a little bit. So that's the grapevine. The kale is doing really well. That's germinated and well on its way now. That's the 2 different types of kale that Richard Siddon very kindly sent through to me. The hollyhocks, as you can see, are really coming on. Those are the hydrangeas as well, so they're shooting quite merrily. Those are the alpine strawberries, they're coming on quite well, and the lavender, I'm going to put all that out very shortly. Sweet peas will come through really well. As you can see, they're all coming through now. These ones here germinated first. They were through within about 3 days, and the others are just about started to come through. Now if you look really closely down here, I'll just pull it up here into the light so you can see it. There's a little bit of green algae on the surface. I don't know if you can see, but that is baby asparagus. Those are the seeds we put in only a few weeks ago. So what I'll do is, now it's through, what I'll do is I'll get a little scrapey tool and I'll just take the top surface off to get rid of that algae. As you can see, the asparagus is starting to come through. So as you can see, it does germinate quite quickly. There's 2 more there, look. So what I'll do is I'll wait for that to grow till it's about, I don't know, about 2 or 3 inches high, and then I'll pull them out and pop them on. But you can see the germination rate is pretty good. So as soon as they've germinated, I think what I might do actually is do a second batch. But you can see the roots are already starting to come through the bottom. So they've done really well. Bearing in mind, it was only about 2 weeks ago when we planted them. All of the leeks are through, and I seem to have a rogue sunflower seed in there, but they're doing really well. These are the verbenas that are going to be planted out into the garden in the next few weeks. So I'm just waiting. To be honest with you, I could probably get away with putting them out now, but I'll put them out very shortly. On the end here we've got the calendulas. A couple of them have got a little bit hot, I think, or dried out, but they're doing alright. So that's the greenhouse. I've just about got all the onions out. There's a few left over, and I'm going to be putting these in a tray as spares. Those are the birdhouse gourd plants. Nothing coming through as of yet, but still coming on. Right, the herb garden, as you can see here, that's the comfrey. It's gone absolutely balmy. Got the hollyhocks at the back. These are the white ones. There's another hollyhock under there actually as well, but it's been hidden now. But those are the 2 black ones. There's one there, and there's one just there, and there is actually one, I don't know if you can actually see it, there's one there, look. It's being protected by the comfrey at the minute, and because of the weather I thought it'd perhaps be better if I just left that too. But what I might have to do is put a bit of something just to hold that back so it doesn't sort of smother it. There's going to be a tube here and a tube there to put the 2 birdhouse gourd plants in. I'm going to grow one that way and one that way, so I'm going to be doing that soon. But the potato pipes that I had last year, what I'm going to do is cut one of those in half and put half on each side. I think that'll be ideal. So I'll just put that straight on top of the ground. I know there's mint and stuff there, but there's a spare bit of ground there, and I'll just put it on top of the mint there. The mint will grow through and do whatever it wants to do. That's the thyme. I've moved that over from there. I've just moved it over a little bit to make a bit of room there. That's the sage that went in. Rosemary's doing well. What I was thinking of doing was cutting the rosemary back a little bit, because it's kind of brushing the fence. So what I was thinking of doing was chopping that back a bit to save the fence getting scratched. But anyway, lemon balm, mint, and oregano there, and also at the front there. And as you can see, the lemon balm's coming through at the back now. I don't know about everybody else, but we actually had 4 inches of rain yesterday. So I'll show you what the flood looked like in a moment. But down the bottom end, we've all the water's collected there. Now on the outside, there's no signs of any asparagus yet. I'm not expecting there to be be honest with you. But the comfrey, the other type of comfrey's come out there. These chives that are all in there. Now this bed here, which is normally the carrot bed, I'm not going to be growing any carrots this year. I might grow a few inside the greenhouse, but here's going to be the ochre bed from for this year anyway. So what I'm going to be doing is digging all that over, putting loads of muck in, and some good stuff to hold the moisture in the ground, and then I'll be growing that'll be all the ochre inside there. So these chives are going to have to move, so they're going to go into some pipes along here, so they're nicely out of the way. Now this bit here, I've not got anywhere near as far as I wanted to, but I've cut all the raspberries down, tied them all back, and as you can see they're starting to come through. And what I've started to do is make this wooden framework to go around the bottom, and the reason for this is obviously what I want to do is put some muck and stuff in at the bottom just to feed them a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is fill that with muck. The reason for the wood is not to keep the muck there, it's to stop the birds from kicking it about. So that's exactly why I've got this piece of wood here. It's only a piece of lath board that, you know, like here on the side of a shed, which is exactly where this actually came from. So I've got them all painted. I've just got to basically put the rest up there and do a bit of weeding, and I'll be filling this full of chicken muck and that. The espalier trees is all starting to shoot. I've got a shoot here that needs to be chopped off, but what I'll be doing is I'll be doing an episode on espalier in the next couple of weeks, because these need to be trimmed down and that. So I'll do a video clip on that when I do it. But the espalier trees and the justerberry bushes are all doing really well. I might even take some cuttings off the justerberry bushes if I can get a big piece big enough. This is what I'm going to be planting one of these two. I'm going to cut one in half and then make two shorter ones, and then that'll go over there to put the birdhouse gourds on. I'm also going to be growing some other birdhouse gourd plants. I thought whilst I was there I may as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grow one amongst the beans, one or two amongst the beans, and also one or two amongst the mashua, which is going to go here, either there or there. I haven't made my mind up yet, but so this is where the potatoes are going to go. So as you can see, we've had loads of rain, and there's a few of the weeds coming through. Nothing like what's in the tunnel, but inside the tunnel I've now got, I don't know if you can see, I've got a lever on the inside, so I can all I did is I brought the welder up and I've welded up a little. I've just put a bit of primer paint on there, so it needs to be painted grey, but I can now operate it from the inside as well. So there's going to be a plate on the outside still, but so as you can see, the weeds are fighting back in here. So what I need to do is just get around here. It won't take very long, but I don't want to compress the ground too much, because with it being raining, I'm frightened of compressing the ground. But what I'll do is I'll just get in here with a bucket, half an hour, and I'll have all this cleared out, get all these weeds out of the way, and get it ready to put the brassicas in. So that's what the tunnel looks like at the moment. I still need to tidy up the netting at that end, and here just cut these these sort of extra bits off, and then get that finished. But it's a work in progress. Right, the onions are in. I've got boards all over the place, as you can see, but I've got 10 rows, and in each row there's 42 onions, so that's, when I was at school, 420 onions in there. All of these here are turbo, and all of these here are turbo up to that bamboo stick there, and then from there on in it's the other one, which escapes me now. Sturgis or something like that the name is. But anyway, the other types there, I haven't put a label in yet. This week's disaster is because I took the tunnel off these purple sprouting broccoli. I don't know if you can see, but the birds have absolutely shredded the plants. They've had all the tops off, they've eaten all the purple sprouting bits off, and they've also nailed all the leaves as well. So I'm a bit disappointed that since I've been growing these for 6 months, and the bloody birds have come in and absolutely gone through like a dose of salt. There is the odd sprig here and there that I might be able to salvage, but as you can see, the birds have absolutely nailed these. I don't think there's much I can salvage. I mean, this one here, I don't know if you can see that, but they've just absolutely shredded the top of that. And these are most certainly pigeons that have done this. So what I might do is just cut my losses and fetch all these out and give them the chickens to finish off. Which is a shame, because I was looking forward to some purple sprouting broccoli and pasta with a cheese sauce, but still, that's how it goes sometimes. It's my own fault for taking the tunnel off. What I should have done was left the tunnel here a little bit longer, but I was keen to get the onions in and get them started. But what I could have possibly done is moved it down to here, so the tunnel was there for a bit, but still, that's how it goes. Last year I did exactly the same thing as this. I took the tunnel off and left them out, and the birds never went anywhere near them. That's how it goes. Anyway, the spinach is coming up, so hopefully I'll be able to have a pick of that. But with all this rain that we've had, the amount of slugs, I put the rest of the onions in earlier tonight, and there are slugs everywhere. I don't think I've seen this many slugs in years. So I'm a bit concerned how many slugs there are. They seem to have had with such a warm winter and such a wet spring, they seem to have really, you know, sort of done well out of that, and they're everywhere. I've still got a few parsnips on the end there. I'm not sure if they're going to be any good, but I'll try and finish them off on Sunday. The rhubarb's really come through. As you can see, it's really pushing its way through the wood chip. I keep coming up and releasing it so it can get to the light. But as you can see, it's all. I'm not going to force any this year. I'm just going to leave it to it. But I think this wood chip's forcing it for me, to be honest with you. But that's coming on quite nicely. I might put a bin on in a couple of weeks' time when it's had a bit of light. I might force that bit there, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's what the rhubarb looks like. This tunnel, the door fell off. That was the second episode this week. So I need some more cable ties and that. One thing I have done, so I can just come in here. I don't want to walk on the ground too much. I've actually welded in a new piece of pipe here. So the new piece starts there and ends up, I think from there to there, that's it, from there to there. I've primed it all up, ready to put the top coat on, but that's why I've got these pots here just holding the net out of the way. But I've grafted a new bit of pipe in there because that was the bit that got broken before. I still need to get round and sew up all of these little holes that have appeared everywhere. But you can see how wet the ground is. It's absolutely sodden. Now, poor old Chris over here, his allotment looks like this. So it's just absolutely sodden, as you can see. I mean, that's not that much further down to mine. I mean, I'm sure if I dug down in mine a foot, I'd hit water. But Chris has basically got a paddy field going on here. So as you can see, it's wet all the way down there as well, all the way down here. I don't know. You can actually hear the path squelching under my feet, but as you can see, it's all the way down to here. Now Chris's allotment is a little bit lower than mine, not by much, but and John's as well's got a load of water on here. And next to me, another John. His looks like that. As you can see, there's plenty of water. I mean, I know we get April showers, but that's the 4 inches of rain we had yesterday. So yeah, I need to be sewing like this hole up here, and there's a few little holes along here as well. So I'll stitch all those up with that nylon cord that I've got. And you know, I told you about calendulas. These are all calendulas here. Can you see them all? They're growing everywhere. And what I normally do is I normally grow, as you know, calendulas up this edge here. And people always think I plant them. I don't. They just grow like weeds. They're already there. Look, can you see them all coming through? So if I don't weed this now, I'm going to have a row of calendulas exactly like I do every other year, all the way along here. All I need to do is weed out the ones I don't want, and then leave the ones I do. So there's loads of calendulas all the way along here. There's probably the odd weed in there as well. I can see there's a weed here. I think that's a dandelion. But all I normally do is just move some of the calendulas to where there aren't any. As you can see here, there's not so many. But yeah, we're never short of calendulas on here. They're all in the road as well. So that's that side. Again, water, water, water everywhere. I do need to get round to digging these bits of weeds out from the edge. But I can't really get onto the ground at the moment because the you can see where the water table is. It's literally about 3 inches below the ground level. So if I start digging, I'm just going to end up making a mud bath out of it all. So this bit here, so what I was planning to do this week was dig the bean trench along here, and the beans are going to end up probably somewhere here. So from there to the end there, they're going to be the runner beans, and then from here, from kind of here to here is going to be the mashua, which is a that looks a bit like okra. Now that's going to sorry, ochre, and I'm going to put some kind of structure up because that likes to grow up like a vine. So that's going to be growing here, and then at the back of this tunnel, probably this side of it in fact, so kind of starting here, obviously that's going to be potatoes, starting about here, I'm going to be growing the second type of beans. So basically I'm going to be growing, there's going to be one row along here, runner beans down the bottom end, French beans here, the 2 metre high French beans, and then separating the two as much as I possibly can do will be the mashua, which is like ochre, but it grows up to sort of 2 metres high. More water here, look, it's everywhere. So yeah, I can't get on the ground at the moment, unfortunately. I'm quite surprised how few weeds there are here, and yet inside this tunnel there are lots. I'm not quite sure why, because the potatoes came all the way down to here, and that was the onion patch last year, so it must be because the onions were there, maybe. But I need to get in there and get all them weeds out before they start to flower and seed. Obviously there's not much happening here. These are the strawberry cages, which are off the strawberry patch at the moment because I keep meaning to come up and pull all the weeds off. This is the other side of the raspberries. I need to plant a few in here. I have got some plants in there, but for some reason last year they didn't grow, so I'm going to be shuffling a couple, possibly these here that have grown through the path, bob them in there in the hole to make it up. Again, you can see the trees here. They're starting to shoot. There's a little shoot there. Look, and one on the end. So this is the apple tree. We've got a cherry tree in the middle, which is this one here. Now this rogue branch here. Maybe I'll train that to go that way. I don't know yet, or I might cut that off. But as you can see, this is the cherry tree. So that's got little shoots on it. I've not got a lot along the end of this. That seems to be reasonably dead, but I've got some there anyway. So I'm going to have to cut some of these back. But as you can see, the top bit's shooting quite nicely. Obviously, what I want to do is train these branches to go along both sides of there, and then on the end there, that's a pear tree, which is grown all the way along all the branches on that. But for some reason, this one hasn't started to grow along. Oh, hang on, no, there's a little shit there. So it is coming, but I think this end bit here is most certainly dead, and the jostling bushes are most certainly alive. These are going to do really well this year, I think. But I know a lot of you have commented to get some nets over these because the blackbirds like them. So what I'll be doing is draping some net over as soon as the fruits start to form. So that's what the allotment looks like. I think we're on the I think it's the 12th. Is it the 12th or the 11th of April today? So that's what it looks like. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. If you do have any questions or comments that you've got to do with this episode or any previous ones, please don't hesitate to put your comments below and I'll always get back to you. And I'll see you on the next episode of Jim's Allotment Garden.